What's going on, everybody? Happy Thirsty Thursday. Welcome to another edition of Dangle Bet Celly here, live on our FTN Network YouTube page, listening on iTunes and Spotify. We always appreciate your time here. A busy 13 games in the NHL, as per usual. Tuesdays and Thursdays, always jam-packed. No Eric Young here today, but it's a pleasure to bring in Griffin Swanson. You know him as GriffDoggDFS on the X machine. Also, Slide Dog Sports, pumping out all the content on his YouTube page. And of course, you're familiar with him over at FTN Daily, FTNBets.com as well. Griff, man, thank you so much for taking the time today. A massive slate, but I'm super jacked to catch up with you, talk a little hockey. Welcome in, man. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, good to be here, Means. It's been a while. Crazy to think we're already actually at the halfway point of the NHL season, and we haven't done one of these shows yet together this year. So we're way past due. Like you said, 13 games here tonight, more than enough hockey to talk about, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we're going to do things a little bit different. You know, EY and me, we usually roll through all 13 games. I don't think we need to do that. If there's a game in particular that you want us to touch on, or a player or anything like that, hit us up. But I think we'll just kind of go back and forth in some games that we like. We'll talk some NHL DFS on this show as well. I know that you're always doing that on your channel, and you're writing some articles for us at FTN Daily, myself included. So we'll talk about it from a DFS landscape today. We'll have some picks. We'll have some sides. We'll have some NHL props. We'll call some goal scorers. So we'll still do a lot of the same things that we normally do here on this show. But make sure you're following a Griff Dog DFS on the Twitter machine, and check out the YouTube page, because your videos have been fantastic, man. And I love that when you drop them in our Discord channel as well. And it looks like we have a couple of your fans in the house. John Marchese, Hammerhead Union. He's happy to see you in here. Death Row Records. We have Evan in the house earlier. I like to always say what up to the crew. Canucks at plus money again. Count me in. You said it earlier off the top. You can't believe it's January right now. Are you surprised with how the Canucks have looked? Do you view them as legitimate Stanley Cup contenders?
Yeah, so that's actually a question I asked myself just this morning, because you're looking at their first line and they're absolutely rolling right now. Been kind of a small sample size with Pettersson, Besser, and Miller together, but when they're on the ice, they're clearly dominant. But I am a little surprised at how well they've played so far this year. If you kind of look at the depth on their team, I'm not looking at it and going, yeah, that second line super scary or anything like that. Obviously, with Quinn Hughes playing the way he is, that certainly helps. Thatcher Demko has been a Vezina candidate so far at the halfway point of the season. So if they can sustain kind of that top end play from their elite players, then I mean, who am I to say they couldn't go on a run? You make you punch your ticket into the playoffs. Anything can happen. We saw it with Florida last year, barely squeaking in and then making a run there. So I do worry about their depth a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make a move at the trade deadline to kind of help with that. But like I said, hard to argue with the way they're playing right now. They're certainly coming together as a team under Rick Tocchet, and you can clearly see that.
Oh yeah, he's a heck of a coach. I love that hire right off the get-go. I mean, Demko's a great goalie. We know that. Just some injuries have slowed him down over the past couple of years. I was surprised to see him load up that top line with Pettersson and Besser and Miller, just because of what you said. It doesn't. After that, doesn't have a lot of a balance and firepower outside of that top line, but they are continuing to win. And we have been talking them up quite a bit. Marchese's been all over them, as he says here. Let's just cash in Vancouver. We'll get back to that game in a second. We did have the Ducks. John Prince, thank you for the shout out. We were a little hesitant. I don't know if I sold it that much. We were looking for an upset on Tuesday, and we were like, I said, listen, Nashville's not good enough to be minus 220 favorites. Come on, maybe the Ducks can pull out a victory. And now Zegras is hurt again. Man, this guy just cannot stay healthy in Anaheim at the moment. We have Evan again. Not sure why we keep getting this Canucks team at plus money, but he's going to take it. Florida also to win. We'll give some love to the Panthers. And you and I talked before the show. This is a heavy Panther show. We are big on Florida. We were big on them last year throughout the playoffs, and we've liked them all year. We talked 18-1, I think 2 to 3 weeks ago to win the Cup. 8-1 to win the conference and 4-1 to win the division, and they continue to absolutely roll. We have Troy, who's a Blue Jackets fan. If you can't tell, vote Marchenko for the All-Star game. We'll subscribe to that for you, Troy. What a nice little player here. Adam Szymanski's in the house. Afternoon fam. Not a great slate, to be honest. Adam, what more do you want? 26 teams in action, but I kind of hear you. It's not fantastic. We have diehard MMA in the house as well. Morning, everybody. Sean McCormick. Wow. Two of the GOATs, Griff and Meaney. We love McCormick on this show as well. Daniel says he's going to the Sabres game tonight. Give me something to root for. This game looks like the trash bowl. My goodness, the Senators have just been, they've been
rough.
Disappointing teams, haven't they? I mean, what's going on in Ottawa? They make the coaching change to still are just brutal at 5-5 hockey.
Yeah, and I thought that there was a little bit of life there with the coaching change originally, but they've come back down to earth pretty quickly. That's actually a game that I do like here tonight from a DFS perspective, though, and so I'm looking at that second line. It looks like Jeff Skinner's week to week as of this morning. He is going to be put on the IR. So I'm looking at this second line here of Cousins, Peterka, and Quinn. And number one, super affordable. So that allows you to spend up for other line stacks. Obviously, some elite plays on the slate here tonight. The way that Toronto's playing right now, McDavid on the slate. That first line for Tampa stacked up. So this kind of gives you some room to play with in your lineup. And I actually really like the way that second line is played together. It's kind of been a small sample size with Quinn starting the season on the IR, but when they have been on the ice together in terms of 5-on-5, they actually lead this Sabres team in expected goals per 60 and shot attempts per 60. So the upside's there. Maybe it hasn't reflected as much on the score sheet so far this year, but I think there should be some positive regression kind of coming their way. And like you said, what better matchup here against this Senators team that's just struggling on all areas in their zone. They're struggling, allowing goals 5-on-5. They have the second worst penalty kill in the NHL. So I think this is a good spot for Buffalo. And if you wanted to kind of stack it up on the other side, I'd have no problem with that either.
Yeah, they can't get the goaltending. I feel like their lines are always shuffled. There's no stability inside their top six. Sometimes I see, Giroux with Kachuk and then Giroux with Stützle, who's been kind of disappointing. Josh Norris, I was really buying into him when he came back, and he's been pretty inconsistent as well. So yeah, the Sabres check in at -130 at home and +112 for the Ottawa Senators. If we're looking for some plays here, Daniel, one thing I will say, you're going to the Sabres game tonight, the Rock of Buffalo with the crowd. I love the call of the second line. Maybe get like a Cousins and Peterka in there, but Alex Tuck has caught my eye over the past couple of weeks. It's a little bit juiced, the shot prop at -140 over at DraftKings, but he does have 10 shots on goal in his last two games, and he's got points in 3 straight back-to-back games with a goal. I know losing Skinner, right? Are they going to go Olofsson up on that top line? I think it remains to be seen what they're going to do. Maybe he's the guy that jumps in and takes the spot of Skinner. But Tage Thompson and Tuck have been playing pretty good lately. I noticed that Tuck has been shooting more. I guess he had the brace on his wrist. I'm sure that had something to do with the limited shots that he had over like a couple weeks span, but he's been playing a little good lately. I love the call from a DFS standpoint in the second line, but I think Daniel, for me, I'm going to jump on an Alex Tuck anytime goal, an Alex Tuck over 2.5 shots. He is +130 for an assist too. If you're not feeling the goal, maybe he can pick up a power play assist or something like that here. So continuing to pick on the Sens. Sabres win the game, you think?
Yeah, I do like the Buffalo side as well, and I like kind of mixing in Dahlin as well with that second line.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it looks like Owen Power was on the number 1 power play yesterday, and I have, hey, look, Power's super cheap in the 3K range on DraftKings tonight if you want to go that route. But I kind of like Ross Moose here. You can mix him in with that second line, 4-man stack. I'm a big fan of the 4-3-1 stacks when it comes to tournaments and GPPs on DraftKings. So that is something I will be a little heavier on tonight. And yeah, I like the Buffalo side.
Man, I was looking at Dahlin's game log and just the shots. It's -175 for 3. It's just too juice. But I know some people always look for a couple 2-leg parlays or something like that, 3-leg parlays maybe to put him in. It's getting to the point where he should just be 3.5. Just give me plus money or something. I know other books allow you to do alternate shots, but this is a guy that's cleared. I want to say, like, quick math here, like 20 of his last 23, 24 games, this guy's been like 3-4 shots. He had 5 in his last game. He had 6 the other night against Ottawa. He's just logging a lot of ice time. I've seen what you saw as well. I was surprised to see Owen Power up on that top unit, but maybe it's only a matter of time before Dahlin gets back there. But Dahlin's a guy that I think Daniel, he'll continue to put some pucks on net for you tonight. I don't know if you're a Sabres guy, but I think you might be in for a really good night and some offense there. Okay, so we'll move on from that game. McCormick did mention the struggling Kings tonight. I was on LA, not going to lie, the last show, they had a 2-0 lead. I got off the ice and I was like, the Kings are up 2-0. Maybe they figured this thing out. They've been much better on the road than at home. But ultimately, like, LA is struggling. They ended up blowing that
Yep.
lead. Tampa scored late. They won in overtime. Kevin Fiala has not looked great. Pierre-Luc Dubois has not looked great. They've shuffled up their lines a touch, having Kempe with Pierre-Luc Dubois maybe to try to get him going. Moore was up with Quentin Byfield. This is probably the most consistent 5-5 line in the NHL for quite some time was Kempe, Kopitar, and Byfield. What do you make of the Kings' struggles? And are you with us on as a show, just continuing to hammer this Florida team? Like, these guys look amazing.
Yeah, I think LA is going to figure it out. I'm not honestly concerned about their play right now. You know, you're going to go through skids in an 82 game season. Is losing 6 straight is obviously concerning, a bit of a red flag there. But like you said, you know, some of the best depth in the NHL right now. They brought up Clark. I'm interested to see what he can kind of do on that squad as well. There's a lot of hype around his offensive game, former first round pick, but yeah, means you're hitting the nail right on the head. I don't know if any team is playing better than the Florida Panthers right now. They've won 8 straight games here. They're scoring 4.5 goals per game during that stretch. Their power play scoring at a 33% rate. And that's kind of what you look at is those top 6 forwards with, I guess, any team when you're playing DraftKings here. But you could pick a hat out of the bunch there, whether it's for Hagee, Tkachuk, Barkov, or my favorite play, Sam Reinhart, who's just playing lights out right now. 12 goals in his last 10 games. The chemistry with him and Barkey seems to really be there. I'm on Florida here tonight for sure, kind of just riding that hot hand. And I don't want to say they have something to prove, but they got beat up a little bit in that Stanley Cup final last year by Vegas. And I think they do have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. I know we're at the halfway point here this season, but if we, 4 months from now, we're talking about them again going on a run, wouldn't be surprised at all. They're playing unreal hockey right now.
I really do think that they're going to go on a run. I know it's tough to, go back to back. We saw Tampa there, but man, they can just match. They can play any style that you want. And they get in your face. They're physical. They can drop the gloves. They throw the body. They weathered the storm without Ekblad and Montour to start the season. Even Bennett was hurt. They're well coached. Paul Maurice is a heck of a coach. Bobrovsky's playing good, man. Like, that's the one thing last year I was like, I like this team. I like their offense. I like their defensive core, but how great is Bobrovsky? And, he was really good throughout that playoff run. So if he can just be above average, I think that they can go on another run here. They match the physicality with the Bruins. They crushed the Leafs. Like, they bullied the Leafs. Maybe Carolina deserved a little bit better in that 4-game sweep. There's a couple overtime games there, but the Hurricanes just can't match offensively what Florida has been doing. You're right. You can take this any way you want. Tkachuk has got back-to-back games with 4 points. He checks in with his 6-game point streak. He's got 4 multi-point games over that span. He had no puck luck to start the season. He's cooking. Sam Reinhart has goals in 4 straight games. He's got 6 over that span. He's got 29 on the year. I love his shot prop. Again, it's plus 100 over at Bet Rivers for over 2.5. And I know it's the Kings and they play this trap style of hockey and they're good at 5-5, but I don't, like you said, I don't think there's, for what Sam Reinhart has done and what he's been doing, is 9 straight games with at least 3 shots. And Barkov's been feeding him nonstop. Then you got Verhaeghe. He's got goals in 5 of his last 6 games. He's on a massive point streak as well, up to 22 goals in the season. And then Barkov just dishes out assists. Like, he's just like the new bread man, I guess. He's got 33 helpers in 37 games. He's got 5 in his last 2. Some of these assist numbers, he had 4 against Colorado, 3 against the Rangers, 3 against Tampa, and 2 against Vegas. He's plus 100 tonight for an assist. So I think we're, as a squad, we are really liking the Florida Panthers. Did you say you have the preference in DFS of Reinhart and Barkov? Like, that's the way you'd rather go as opposed to Tkachuk? And it's tough, man, because both lines
flip a coin. Yeah, I mean, that's really where I'm kind of at with it. I don't think you can go wrong with either line. And maybe I'm hesitant to say you stack up that power play, because the one thing that LA has continued to do well is their penalty kill, even during the 6-game losing stretch. So I'm hesitant to go that route. Very expensive to go there anyway. So yeah, I mean, maybe a little 3-man stack if you wanted to. You could go with Barkov, Reinhart, and Montour, or the other side, you could go with Verhaeghe, Tkachuk, and Montour. I mean, like I said, I think you just flip a coin here and you kind of hope for the best of whatever one plays well. But on any given night, we know that either one of those lines could, have multiple points against anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. One thing I've been doing over at Bet365, and I know DraftKings allows same game parlay with points as well, is Kachuk and Verhaeghe. They're plus 120, right? They correlate together. I love that Verhaeghe is now getting an opportunity on that top power play, which is something we haven't seen a
Yep.
whole lot of over the 2 years. And then you could just go Reinhardt and Barkov. These guys seem to be automatic. And I get it's a tough matchup. We may look silly. The Kings may shut them down first game at home after a long West Coast trip. But this is something we just keep hammering on the show. If it doesn't work tonight, you can continue to go back to it if you're a 365 user. Reinhardt and Barkov for a point plus 120. So try to take line mates. If there's correlation on the power play, that's great as well. And those big four are really cooking, man. All right, I'll let you go. Where do you want to go next? I'll let you go pick a game or something you like here tonight.
Yeah, let's stick with a little stacking here. I want to highlight some options and routes that I think we could go tonight on terms of DraftKings stacks. So the first one I want to highlight here is that Carolina Hurricanes #1 power play. Basically, you could stack up all 5 guys if you wanted to. You could do that first line with Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen, run it with Brent Burns. But their power play is scored at a 53% rate over their last 9 games. I mean, they're just playing absolutely lights out. They're very affordable considering the upside they offer. And what I love about it, especially here, is you're getting them against an Anaheim team at home. Anaheim leads the NHL in minor penalties per game at 4.6. So it's not a matter of or if, it's when we're going to see this Carolina team on the power play tonight. And, you got guys like Svechnikov, $5,800, Brent Burns, $4,900, who are underpriced in my opinion, considering the matchup here. So that's a stack that I really like here tonight. And, like I said, first line, #1 power play. They're in a great spot against Anaheim.
It's almost like DraftKings and even books haven't adjusted for what they've done lately. Like at the start of the season, they weren't scoring goals and they weren't keeping the puck out of their net. But ever since they had that closed door meeting, I just feel like it's a different team. Like Svechnikov is completely underpriced on DraftKings. Like this guy he scored the same goal 3 games in a row on the power play. I think where it was Aho at the point and he just cross pass over to Svesh and he just like one-timered it. And I think in the 3rd time in a row, they were losing it laughing on the bench. And I knew that's what I was like, these guys are laughing because they've had the exact same goal 3 games in a row. And Brent Burns is minus 105 for a point. He's plus 150 for an assist tonight. So maybe it comes of the power play. What's the power play prop for him? 300 plus 300. It's not too bad. Like you said, the Ducks live in the penalty box. The Hurricanes power play is cooking. He's been off the first unit and on the first unit. I know that they've done a bunch of different things, but he's looked really good of late. I think he's in the right form. So what do you think about like Hurricanes puck line or anything like that at home? You think that they could probably put up 4 or 5 goals in the Ducks tonight?
Yeah, especially at home. This Carolina team just doesn't seem like they lose, and if they do, it's always such a tight game at home for them. And so, yeah, I like them here. I like them to score at least 3, probably 4+ goals, and they're so good defensively at home too. During this last 10-game stretch that they play great hockey, they're allowing 2.10 goals per game. So that's against, better teams than the Anaheim Ducks. Like you said, no Zegras here tonight, kind of bumps down their bottom 6. Leo Carlson still isn't back. So, yeah, give me the Hurricanes. I'm going to be all over them tonight. I even like Kachekov in goal as well. I know he's expensive at $8,400, but Anaheim is still a team that can get you around 29, 30 shots on net. And Kachekov started the season super slow, but he's been good here as of late. I believe he's 7-1-2 now in his last 10 starts with a save percentage of .931. So, yeah, give me the Hurricanes. I'm all over them tonight from a DFS and betting perspective.
Yeah, and I think you could maybe go like, let's see the team total on the Ducks. It's probably not if we can go under 2.5 or something like that with the Ducks. It's like minus 170, not going to happen. Sue Juice. But yeah, I would say he's a really good option in net. We've been talking a lot about him from a fantasy hockey standpoint too. And I don't know, there's been a lot of talk about maybe somebody else, Calder. I think he's still, I don't think he's played enough games to be out of the Calder conversation. I don't know. Maybe you need to maybe the viewers want to fact check me on that one, but I know he's been playing pretty good lately, and Bernard's going to miss the next 6 to 8 weeks, so it's a
Yeah.
possibility. No worries there, Daniel. Good luck. Enjoy the game tonight. Hopefully, you have a couple winners and your Sabres win. -160 on FanDuel is a little bit better. Still steep for a single Szymanski, as you know, but maybe you can chuck him in there. Yeah, we had a Thompson, Tuck, and what was it, Skinner 365 2-point parlay, and I noticed Middlestat was getting all those points, but I don't think he's playing on that top line. I think it's Olsen who's going to get that opportunity, and they got Middlestat on the third line, but it's certainly
Yeah, I'm
something
gonna
to
check
consider.
now.
Maybe Adam, it's just the payout's not going to be as nice, but maybe a 2 points each for Tage and Tuck. Maybe you can get that around 10 or 14 to 1, something like that.
Yeah, it
Olsen
looks.
on the top line.
Yeah, Olaf's playing on the left wing. Thompson's still centering it, and so Middlestead will still be between Greenway and Benson, which Middlestead has played his best hockey. He's for sure playing the best of his NHL career so far
Oh,
this year.
yeah.
So if he played up on that first line, I'd love to attack that, but I think I'm going to stick with that second line. Like I said, just so affordable. They played well in terms of 5-on-5 play. You get the correlation with all of them on the number 2 power play, so it makes sense from a DFS perspective, and they should go kind of overlooked on a 13-game slate.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice breakout in the second half last year for Middlestat, and he's carried it over, lead to Sabres in points. We do appreciate this comment there. Double goats in the house. Any thoughts here? As Adam says, he'd be curious on your thoughts on the Gauthier situation. Cutter traded. I did see the Torts interview last night. I tweeted it out. How can you not love the guy? Yeah, say what you want about Tortorella, but my goodness, man, this guy is always here for a soundbite, and I'm here for them all as well. If you didn't catch it, he started his press conference last night after the victory against the Habs, asking if the reporter was in the house that had the report that Kevin Hayes had something to do with the Cutter trade. And it sounded like the reporter right away was like proud of it. He's like, yeah, it's me. I'm here. Yes,
I'm here.
It's me. I did it. And then I was like, oh no, you were about to get chewed out. Do you have any thoughts on this whole situation, the trade or Torts or anything like that?
Yeah, so I'll be upfront and honest. I've never been a huge Torts guy, but you can clearly tell he's changed his ways over the last couple of years. I mean, I get it. He grew up in that tough era hockey where
Yeah.
it's just a different game nowadays, and so you get some of these players who, let's call it soft for a lack of better terms, right? And he just couldn't adapt to that. So I have noticed Torts change his ways a little bit here over the past couple of years. And I think we kind of saw that on display last night, just him going to bat for Kevin Hayes. They didn't have the greatest relationship when they were together in Philadelphia, but the way he just spoke of that man, attacking someone's family and things of that nature is just, I mean, you got to be, you're kind of a scumbag. You go that route. So, respect to Torts, respect for calling him out, and just respect to him being a player's guy. And whether you like him or not as a coach, this man clearly cares about his players. So, yeah, I was happy to see that. And my thoughts on the, Cutter Gauthier situation here. Look, it's a business. Obviously, I got a Crosby poster right behind me. So if I got drafted by the Flyers, I probably wouldn't have been thrilled about it. But I've also been a man of loyalty. So I wasn't thrilled to see him, kind of leave that situation. But at the same time, it's not like the Flyers really got a bad deal out of it. Jamie Drysdale's legit, second-round pick on top of that. I mean, it's kind of a win-win for both sides, in my opinion. If you want to attack Gauthier and boo him while he's in Philadelphia, hey, look, I'm all for that. But physically attacking people or going the family route, come on, man. People are better than that.
It's
better than that.
Very, very scumbag. I didn't think Torts was going to get another job when he – what was it, the game against was it Vancouver and Calgary when he chased down the hall? I was like, oh, this guy's done. He's never gonna get another job in hockey. But you're right. He has his players back and they're playing for him. And what he's done with this Philadelphia Flyers squad is pretty much I don't want to say it's remarkable over the top, but man, guy deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with Philadelphia. And I know having Couturier and Cam Atkinson in the lineup, which we hadn't seen over the past couple of years, does help. But he's got this Flyers team playing a really good brand of 5-on-5 hockey. They're actually, fighting for a playoff spot, which is something I didn't think would happen. And it was nice to see Torts call out that reporter as well. Favorite hockey show. Let's go. All right, let's get back to the hockey picks here.
Yes, sir.
We have Adam saying exactly my thoughts. Torts adapted. Good combo of his old ways and being able to be patient with younger players. And I'd rather have potential stud defenseman over potential stud forward any time of the day of the week. I mean, you got a right-handed shot defenseman who can skate like the wind and move the puck up and down the ice. He's going to help out. I mean, already you saw it, Adam. The Flyers have like one of the worst power plays in the entire league. I think it was 10% before they played last night, and he picked up a power play assist immediately with
it's what they needed.
The first power play of the game. It's exactly what they needed as well. I love Sanheim, but ease off the Sanheim minutes and give a little bit more here to Drysdale. So it is what they needed.
Agreed.
All right. Another game you got on your list?
Yeah, so one of a more of expensive stack that I'm kind of looking at here tonight, and maybe just a team we can attack in general, is the Tampa Bay Lightning playing the New Jersey Devils. The Devils are beat up right now. They got no Hughes tonight, no Timo Meier, no Dougie Hamilton, Siegenthaler's out, Andre Palat. I just think that, and it's super expensive to stack up Kucherov with Point and Stamkos, but you start there and you just, you go with that second line out of Buffalo. It's affordable. Second line out of Winnipeg with Perfetti, Iafallo, and Nemestikov. There's routes you can go to make that happen. But New Jersey's been a team that hasn't been great defensively to begin with this year. Their goaltending's been very shaky at times. And the upside you get out of a Point, Kucherov, and Stamkos line is elite. They average 3.5 points per game as a line, and Kucherov could put up 3.5, 4 points himself tonight. He's just been lights out this year. So it is very expensive. People are going to put that in their DraftKings lineup and go, I think it's $4,500 left over per player when you go that route. But there's routes to make it happen. I like attacking New Jersey right now. Like I said, haven't been great defensively, and now you're missing your best player amongst some other really depth pieces.
I agree with you on the first line. I think Kucherov is minus 145 for 2 points, which is absurd to think about. Any interest at all if you're playing multiple lineups in tournaments with that second line of maybe trying to get a little unique? Because I totally with you, man. This Devils team they've been bad. Like they cannot keep the puck out of their net. They got inexperienced players on the blue line, and they're missing a lot of players up front. Like, do you have any interest in a Hagel one-off or Hagel, Cirelli, Nick Paul, or just maybe a little bit too cute there and just take the studs?
I certainly don't mind it. When you're attacking a team like the Devils anyway, I'm always with the idea of, hey, first line's obviously great. That's the reason why they're the first line. But going into some of the depth, if you like the matchup to begin with, is something that I do consider when it comes to DFS. Again, means I go to that second line out of Buffalo. I just think that, for a similar price, you're getting a little bit more upside considering they've played better together. But if you rostered Cirelli with Hagel and Paul tonight, I'd have no problem with that. If I'm, like I said, I'm attacking the matchup and you're affordable, you're kind of more of a contrarian play. Yeah, I'm all for looking into that for sure.
It's one of my favorite money line plays, and there's a little bit of juice there since this morning, but you can still get Tampa at minus 145 over at Caesars. I see a few books there at minus 160. So there's a bit of an edge at Caesars compared to Bet Rivers at minus 160. Maybe even consider Tampa on the puck line tonight or in 60 to get a little bit more bang for your buck. Let's go back to Vancouver and Pittsburgh, because you mentioned Crosby, Sid the Kid's right behind you there. Jake Gensel's somebody that we've talked a lot about on this show, just his point prop and his shot prop, again at minus 130. So I'm going back to that one in particular with Rickard Rakell. Are you doing any sort of stacking in this game? Do you like anything from a DFS perspective? You could see some offense, man. I never know what you're going to get with the Pittsburgh goalies, but for the most part, it's been more consistent in terms of stopping pucks than not this year.
Yeah, for what it's worth, goalies are always kind of the question mark when it comes to the Pittsburgh Penguins here. So I've watched, I think, 38 of their 39 games, and goaltending has not been the issue. Yeah, there's been some games, don't get me wrong, some outliers like giving up 5 against Boston the other night with Nedeljkovic, but for the most part, they have been solid. And it is going to be Nedeljkovic who gets the start again here tonight. Yeah, you don't always know what you're going to get out of those goaltenders, especially the backups. But overall, this should be a fun game to kind of just be on in general. That first line for Pittsburgh, albeit I am biased, I think they could play the Harlem Globetrotters of hockey, and I'd still roster them. But when you look at the best lines 5-on-5 in hockey, it's Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, kind of in the upper right echelon corner. And then right behind it, it's Crosby, Gensel, and Raquel. So those two lines 5-on-5 have been the best in the NHL, and it's really not even close. You could look at every granular analytic, and it's going to say that that's the truth. Vancouver is a tough matchup. We've kind of talked about that earlier. Demko's playing really well right now. So will I, from a homer perspective, be on Pittsburgh tonight? Yes, but I do think there's better matchups out there to target from an overall DFS perspective. Winnipeg's sitting in a really nice spot against Chicago. I actually don't even mind Montreal at home tonight against San Jose, or going vice versa, attacking San Jose against Montreal, playing on back-to-back nights. So I absolutely think this will be a good game from a hockey perspective. And while I'd have no problem going that route for DFS, I think I'll be elsewhere for the most part.
All right. I've just another side that I like here. I don't really like anything from a DFS standpoint, but taking a look at the Kraken and the Washington Capitals, so Seattle on the road at -120. Here, we did have the Yanni Gourde line to score. It's the only line that I feel like has been consistently good in Seattle. I know Matty Beniers scored the other day. Jared McCann has been like on the back of a milk carton, as EY likes to say. Where is this guy? I think he needs to be back up on the top line with Matty Beniers, but that, call it the third line, whatever you want to call it. Yanni Gourde and Tolvanen and Bjorkstrand, they hit the score sheet. That was plus 450 for those guys at Bet365 to pick up a goal. And I don't know if we'll see a lot of offense here between the Kraken and the Capitals, but -120 over at DraftKings for Seattle to win. They're just playing really good hockey again. They check in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game winning streak. They haven't allowed more than 2 goals in any of those games, so they're getting some good goaltending. Joey Daccord, like, well, I don't know, man, this guy's just how sustainable is this? I'm not sure, but I played him the other night in DraftKings. I was pretty pumped to play him against the Sabres. He was racking up all kinds of points. So who do you like in net tonight from a DFS standpoint?
Yeah, so I mentioned Kochetkov earlier. Connor Hellebuck at $8,500, expensive, but I think at this point you could say he's probably the Vezina favorite.
If it was Bressois, would you go with Bressois? Because I think it could be him.
Yeah, so my only issue is going that route in general is it's Chicago. And I'm not worried about Chicago pumping in a bunch of goals here tonight, but could they realistically have 22 shots on net? I wouldn't be surprised if that were the outcome. So I like Kochetkov a little bit more. I think Anaheim pumps a few more shots on net. And then, yeah, the other guy that I highlighted in my video on my channel this morning was Joey Daccord. I mean, to your point, how much longer can you sustain this? I don't know. And the answer is probably not very long. He has been truly tremendous in his last 11, 12 games here. I think he's got a save percentage like .957 during that stretch, averaging 24 DraftKings points per game. I mean, come on. Those are unsustainable numbers for sure, but you know as well as anybody when it comes to hockey, and I've had people argue this with me in the past, like, you can't just pick people because they're hot in hockey. It's like, have you ever played hockey? Guys get hot, and that's a very real thing. Yeah, don't believe the analytics or not. Guys get hot in hockey, and that's what you have here right now is you're kind of just riding that hot hand until he kind of comes back down to earth. So hard to argue those numbers right now, though, man. He's just been lights out.
Yeah, I mean, overall, he's got the 9.23 save percentage and a 2.28 goals against average. He's actually won 6 straight hockey games. And like I said, with just the Kraken allowing more than 2 goals, this is what they have been missing since they've entered the league. The 5-5 numbers have been solid. I think they punched above their weight last year from a shooting percentage, but they just haven't been able to get any goaltending from Grubauer or Drieger or whoever the heck they put in the net over the past couple of years. They're getting it right now from Joey Daccord. So if you picked him up in season-long league, you're just continue to ride with him because, as you said, these goalies are just voodoo. You never know what you're going to get with some of them. I know it's sometimes it can ruin your DFS lineup, but riding a guy that's been extremely hot until he cools down is probably decent advice.
Yeah.
Daily Handle, welcome in, dude. We appreciate you checking in with us as well. Okay, so yeah, confidence massive in hockey, which people don't understand if you haven't played. That's one thing too. I mean, I'm not EY and we touched on us playing in games and struggling in our beer league hockey, whatever. But you ask an NHL player if they've gone like 12, 15 games without a goal, like they are gripping that stick a
Oh, yeah.
little tighter. They're passing off opportunities. They're hesitant to shoot the puck. They're stressing a little bit, trying to pick corners, missing nets. Once you get a couple, we've had this on the show a couple times. Like even a guy like Josh Anderson, who felt like 40 games without a goal. Once he scored, and I think it went off his knee and somebody else's knee. It's like he's scoring again next game. He's going to go on a little bit of a mini run, and he did. But confidence is crazy and superstitious bunch, and some guys just don't do well against certain teams. Yes, Troy, we touched on this earlier. The Devils are an injured mess right now, so you're going to bet Tampa, and I think that's a pretty good call. Clint or Troy also said that he thought the Leafs at minus 140 was a good price. What do you make of the Leafs and the Islanders? It's so tough for me to get behind paying up for all these Leafs, like Matthews at 10K and all this stuff. I have a hard time, but he seems to score every other night. And on the flip side, what do you make of the Islanders? They've been one of the most surprising squads. Like they're not the old Islanders where they're stingy. They give up a ton of chances and they're scoring goals this year too. So what do you make of this matchup?
Yeah, like you said, complete opposite Islanders team that we've been accustomed to watching here over the past 5, 6, 7 years. You could go back quite a bit. And the interesting thing is to your point, is they're winning games by scoring goals, not playing this elite defense. And in fact, they've actually been pretty horrendous defensively. I think they rank in the bottom 5 when it comes to opportunities allowed 5-on-5. Obviously, you do have some really good goaltending there with Sorokin, and maybe his numbers don't reflect it because of that bad defense. But I actually don't mind this game from a DFS perspective. To your point, look, the Maple Leafs are a hard team to judge for me. They have all the talent in the world, yes, but their goaltending from time to time, I mean, they could lose this game 5-6 here tonight, and I would not be surprised. That's the type of team that they are. So I tend to avoid betting the Toronto Maple Leafs, especially when they're on the road, just because there's one of those teams where they kind of play down to teams' levels at times, or they like to make things interesting. So overall, I like it from a DFS perspective. Kind of going back to the Florida Panthers, draw a name out of a hat between Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares right now, and you got some high upside there. But from a betting perspective, yeah, I don't know if I can go that route.
Every time I bet the Leafs, I feel like I lose the bet. I really do. We had them the other night against the Sharks, but it was the Sharks. But I was like minus 115 for the Leafs not to win by 2 on the puck line in San Jose when everybody else is just crushing this team. And then, of course, at home, they won 7-1. I didn't touch that because it was like minus 200, like for them to win by 3 goals. So
Yeah.
they did win that one. But you can't, Troy, if you want to back them, I would lean with them winning the game. I totally agree with Griff that they're a tough team to spend that kind of juice on them because you just really never know what you're going to get. But you can get minus 130 at DraftKings, which is a little bit of a better price, easier to swallow than the minus 140, I think. And Martin Jones has been all right. I'd sell high in season long leagues, but he's been pretty good. Keep in mind, his last couple of games did come against 2 against the Sharks and 1 against the Ducks. So
Pretty soft matchup.
He should look okay against those 2 teams. You mentioned San Jose and Montreal since we're on them.
Yep.
Do you think that this is an opportunity maybe to jump on some guys that you normally wouldn't jump on and some cheaper? Habs didn't look good at all last night against the Flyers, and they haven't looked good at all really at home. But Montembeau's been a really good goalie this year. So I mean, I don't know. What do you think about the Sharks and the Habs?
Yeah, I kind of look at these games in general. When you get, a couple of bottom teams in the NHL playing against one another, you're kind of looking for some sloppy shootout play where, hey, maybe it does end up being a 4-3, 5-4 type of game just because both teams are so bad defensively. So I don't mind kind of going this route in DFS on bigger slates, especially because nobody is going to be on these plays. If you look at so many of these good matchups here on a 13-game slate, your first thought isn't, well, how do the San Jose Sharks look tonight? You don't even care who they're playing. You're avoiding it at all costs. So it is certainly more of a high risk, high reward type of target, larger field tournaments. If you're trying to take down a tournament, if you play cash games in DFS, I am not suggesting you go the Montreal or San Jose route. But if you're looking to kind of get a little different within your tournament lineups, I think these games where you do have 2 bottom teams in the league sometimes can turn into a high scoring affair due to how bad they are defensively on both sides.
Yeah, pretty brutal. I don't like a whole lot from this game. I actually like Hurdle for 3 shots. He's minus 114 for three. He's had at least 3 shots in 3 of his last 4. Just the back-to-back, the fact that the Canadians live in the penalty box, maybe it comes
Yep.
via the power play, a couple of shots there. I'd say Granlund maybe to pick up a point as well. Seeing the under on Caulfield, 1 shot last night. One's difficult for me. Because I mean he can just get it on one power play or two. Like the attempts have still been there for Caulfield, and even last night, like it was like 3 or 4 missed nets that he had last night, a couple 2-on-1s and one breakaway where he missed the net as well. But this is a good bet that you had last night. Having nice plus 340 last night with the draw. Kyle Roberts
Oh
says
wow.
Griff loves you.
Kyle. Yes,
Kyle.
sir. Another Penguins fan in the house.
Oh, baby, let's go. Crosby, like fine wine, though, right? This guy is just continuing to get it done, man. It's just so
It's
impressive
absurd.
to watch. Yeah, it really is.
It
Uh,
really is, and I won't go on a rant, but I mean, like I said, I don't
I'm
miss
here for
many
the
of
rant.
these games. Yeah, look, I don't miss many of his games, and I understand that these guys are at the tail end of their career, so I'm even more dialed in now. But I've been a Penguins Crosby fan since I've been 11 years old, so this is my childhood right here. But it means you couldn't be more. I mean, the way he approaches the game is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And you hear Mike Sullivan talk about it and his teammates as well. But the dedication and the way he just plays a 200-foot game, I mean, he's not going to be McDavid and McKinnon putting up 2-3 points a night anymore. We understand that. But this, where can you improve? He's got a 61 or 60% face-off this year. I mean, he's not losing draws. And on top of that, he's still got, a point per game, pace right now. So, yeah, like I said, I won't rant about it. I could sit and talk about him all day long, but it is truly incredible to watch him at 36 years old just continue to dominate when he's on the ice.
Yeah, and as a Nova Scotia guy, I'm here for you, just ranting about him. He deserves everything that comes his way. Fantastic. And if I was a GM and it was like, hey, it was a clean slate for the entire year. It's like your fantasy NHL 25, 24, whatever franchise mode. I'd be picking Sid the Kid, man. Like that guy needs to be on my team for an absolute run into the playoffs because, like I said, he's still getting it done. To take a look at the overall slate here. Brian O'Reilly faceoffs again. What we said the other day, just over 25.5. Take it, whatever it is. We gave the Nationals not even playing, so I don't know what Riley you're talking about there, but we gave I think in the Prize Picks channel yesterday was Couture over 12.5 faceoffs. I'm like, this one seems like a decent one. I think he had 18 or 19. So this is the overall landscape of the slate. We've hit on a lot of these teams, a lot of these games. You mentioned the Oilers in that top line, one of the best 5-5 units, a matchup against Detroit. I kind of interested in Edmonton there on the money line. I think you can actually get something around minus 163. I got DeBrincat in the tracker for a point at minus 130. I know he's been pretty quiet. You look at daily faceoff, you see that him and Kane are on the second power play unit, make you scratch your head. But the Oilers goaltending is pretty shaky. Skinner's been better lately, but I'd say Kane can maybe fall into a point. I got Gabriel Velarde as well for 3 shots and a point. He's minus 140, I do believe, for a point against the Hawks. Are the Jets legit? It's like 30 games in a row, 3 or fewer goals. How are they doing this? Like, I know
Yeah,
Hellebuck is awesome, but they seem like almost a one-line team to me too. But even though Perfetti's been great, Lowry's been good too, a two-way guy. Winnipeg, man, they've been the best team in the league for like 2 months.
yeah, and I got to be careful with my words. My brother-in-law is playing for the Jets as we speak, so no, I'm just kidding. I could probably say whatever I wanted to, and he'd be cool with it. But no, look, I watch a lot of the games for Winnipeg because he's playing with those guys right now, and just going back to the idea of playing as a team, I've kind of had a little bit of the inside scoop of how Winnipeg is as a team, and I've never I've noticed anything bad, but this year in particular, guys just rallying around one another. You see the Perfetti thing with, getting high sticked by Hartman there and all of his guys kind of rallying around him. Be interesting to see that next game against Minnesota. Actually, I'm looking forward to that one. But the top 2 lines for Winnipeg have been good. They have guys who are filling in when others are injured. I mean, they're going on this run right now with arguably without their best player and Kyle Connor. And so
Yeah.
this is just a team that's just playing for one another. But yeah, you go back to Connor Hellebuck, and in my opinion, he's been the best goalie so far this year. And that's not a guy I worry about regressing too much. This is a guy who could ride out that type of play throughout the rest of the year and go on a playoff run. So I like the way Winnipeg's playing right now. You're getting the elite scoring from your first line like you should, and then the depth is helping chip in when possible. Morrissey's a great defenseman. Yeah, guys like Pionk who are playing really well, 20-plus minutes a night. So yeah, this is a team that I truly do like. They're going to have a tough time getting out of the West with teams like Vegas and Colorado and Dallas, who I actually probably have kind of coming out of the West this
Let's
year.
go.
But yeah, look, Jets are playing really well right now, like the first line, but that second line tonight offering a lot of value, just like that second line for the Buffalo Sabres. So if you're playing DFS and DraftKings, Vladislav Nemestikov, Alex Iafallo, Cole Perfetti, that's a route that I like going here as well.
Yeah, those three have been fantastic and super cheap. I thought that they made out really, really nice in that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, right? I like Velarde as a player, and Iafallo is a smart two-way hockey player as well. You know that, Adam, this is going to be in the bet tracker. Velarde, Scheifele, and Ehlers at 365 all for a point is plus 200. And for those guys to pick up 2 points is 22-1. But I do like the call on the second line. And dude, if this happens, we'll be making some dough, because those are 2 picks we have in the tracker for future Stanley Cup futures. I'm with you. I love Dallas. Let's think the addition of Duchesne. I know we touched on it yesterday in the Discord. We talked about the second line, and I know Rob, they all scored. They all lit it up last night. They all had their shots, but this is the difference, I think, with Dallas. And that's why I liked them last year. And I know it was just Domi, but trading in Domi for Duchesne has given his increased Marchman's game, because he was pretty quiet last year. It's rejuvenated Sagan's game. He's been great all year long. The line that's actually been pretty quiet was a good one for them last year is Wyatt Johnson and Dadnoff and Ben, but they don't even really need them at the moment to score goals. But come playoff time, they're going to be a tough out. Jake Otter's been pretty inconsistent, but he's got the upside to get it done.
Yeah.
All right. I kept you here long enough, but is there anything else, dude, that we didn't hit on here? I think we've hit on most of these things. I know we just kind of glossed over the Oilers. I don't know if you're going to spend up. I mean, Detroit's been playing to a ton of overs this season. We also have the Rangers and the Blues. The Blues have given up a ton of rubber at 5-5. And then the 2 bottom games there, Calgary and Arizona. I still like going. I know Huberdeau hasn't had a great year, but we've been talking Huberdeau props. He's plus 100 again, just for a point. And then on the other side, Kerfoot again, plus money for a point. These guys are just, they're in a bit of a groove right now. And then we have the Golden Knights and the Bruins. I thought Aiden Hill was going to play last night. He didn't play. He was like a late scratch. Sounds like maybe he's going to be good to go this evening. Colorado took it to them, and Nichushkin is just an absolute beast. Anything else? Any other final words here before we wrap things up?
Yeah, see, like I said, Edmonton, you know who to play. That's that first line, and you mix in Draisaitl when you can. Evan Bouchard's been truly tremendous this year. The offensive upside is elite with him. But yeah, we're targeting that first line there. And then, yeah, the last thing I did want to mention here is that second line for the New York Rangers. Talk about great 5-on-5 play. Artemi Panarin has truly been terrific to watch this year. And the one thing about his game that I've noticed completely different from other years is how much he's shooting the puck. He's always had a great shot, and I've always wondered why he doesn't use it more often. So great to see him shooting the puck like he is. That second line's been great. Vinny Trocheck at $6,200 on DraftKings, offering a lot of value in my opinion, considering he's playing with Panarin right now. I think he's got 11 points in his last 5 games, 4 goals, 7 assists. So truly playing some lights out hockey. And St. Louis has been a team to target this year. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Otherwise, one more thing I will mention is the 3K range looks really nice for forwards tonight on DraftKings. If people are looking for some value, I think that's kind of the route to go. But otherwise, 13 games, 26 different teams. More than enough hockey to be on board and play tonight, whatever it may be, betting or DFS.
I love it. Adam, I get it. I'll never bet on the softest player in the NHL at a principal. He's got Huberdeau in there as well. But this is a play that I like. Rangers top line over at 365 plus 110. You just could do Kreider and Zibanejad. I'm sure that's the way you're going. You put Blake Wheeler in there, you're not going to get it. we got nuts with Blake Wheeler a couple weeks ago, and that one didn't work out for us. So I'll just wrap up here quickly with some of the sides that I like. I am back in the Florida Panthers. I like Tampa, and I think it's an opportunity. If you don't want to, still a good price at minus 137. Actually, I think that price, like I said, has moved to minus 145. Let me get the latest here for you using the parlay calculator. Minus 145, but an opportunity maybe to grab them in 60 or in the puck line. It's same thing with Carolina here. Win by 2 or 3 goals at home.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to back the Leafs? It's not for me, but I can get behind the minus 130 Troy as opposed to the minus 140 there. I'd say the over, a good chance of hitting between the Oilers and the Detroit Red Wings. I like the Kraken on the road as well. And I do think the Rangers will squeak it out. It's a price I don't love, but I like them against the Blues. And the rest I'll kind of shy away from. I think there's a good opportunity with the point parlays that we've been talking about. Do those Panther guys, right? Kachuk, Verhaeghe, and then Reinhart and Barkov, that top line in Tampa, maybe a couple points for them this evening. Svechnikov and Aho, Brent Burns as a single play is pretty solid there. The top line in Edmonton's usually around plus 130 for a point. I do like McDavid to have 2 points. DeBrink had to pick up a point, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to pick up an assist. Riding with Ricard Raquel, and maybe consider that both top lines as a point parlay. Maybe you can do a same game parlay with the top 3 guys in Brock Besser, Miller, and Pettersson, and then you can do Sid the Kid, Gensel, and Raquel. That may pay like 5-1. You get a couple guys maybe to have 2 shots or so. Griff likes the second line in Buffalo, so consider them as well. I like Tuck to pick up a point, and I like the over 2.5 shots. Just riding with the Kraken, staying away from some of their props, staying away from the Sharks and the Habs for the most part, but I do like Hurdle for over 2.5 shots. The top line in Winnipeg, I know the great second line call there by you from a DFS standpoint, but the 22-1 for maybe that top line to pick up a couple points. And we like the Kreider and Mika Zibanejad same game parlay. And I am riding with Huberdeau for a point, Kerfoot for a point. And I think really on the way out here, Charlie Coyle and DeBrusque have been pretty interesting too, around plus money for a point with Brad Marchand. No, it's Vegas, but they played last night in Colorado. And the Bruins have been playing to a lot of overs lately as well, so they are starting to fire some pucks. Give me one goal scorer on the way out. One guy that you think lights the lamp tonight. Is it Svechnikov?
Oh yeah, that's a great one. I think Svetch is probably maybe a little too easy here, so just give me a second. I'm gonna go through one and see if I can find one, maybe a little more off the board as well.
You think about that. I'll give you 5. Some of these guys are a little bit chalky. It's a Verhaeghe show. We're just riding Carter Verhaeghe. I like Verhaeghe, if not Reinhart, but Verhaeghe for me, I think is going to find the back of the net. I like Svechnikov to score a goal here tonight. I like your boy, Ricard Raquel. I think he's feeling it at the moment. He's scoring some goals. Gabriel Velarde in Winnipeg. I like Alex Tuck in Buffalo, and we'll go with Mika Zibanejad for the Rangers. What you got?
Yeah, see, Zibby is in the lineup here tonight. It looks like he was going to be sick heading into this game, but he is good. He is good to go. Yeah, so I was actually going to go with another New York Ranger here as well. I love the way he's been playing as of late. That's Vincent Trocheck. He's got 4 goals here now in his last 5. Love the way he's been shooting the puck. He's got, looks like, 16 shots on net over his last 4. So I like that too. Vinny Trocheck is someone I'm on from a DFS perspective as well, for what it's worth. Really benefiting from playing on that number 1 power play and second line with Panarin.
Mark Casey is with you. And since you mentioned the shot prop, or the shot prop for him, minus 129 over at Bet Rivers for 3 shots. Other books are pretty juice in the minus 160 range. So if you're a Bet Rivers user, maybe a little bit of an edge there for you to go with Trocheck. Griff, appreciate it, man. Great show. Hope to have you back. Absolutely. I know you're a busy guy. Football winding down. Maybe we can chop it up again very, very soon. Love your insight and all the work that you do over at FTN, dude. Really, really appreciate it. So check out Griff if you don't already. GriffDoggDFS, Sly Dog Sports. Make sure you subscribe. Always doing some great content there, writing some articles for us as well, and active in the Discord channel. It's always a really good conversation, especially when you do join it. So this is something we have. We always pick on Pierre-Luc Dubois at the end of the show.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me?
is hanging around.
Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's just out there hanging around and getting all kinds of bucks. From Griff, myself, Chris Meaney, smash the like button. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Cheers.